2, 1.
What is your mind reading? Nobody knows for sure. Everything is reflected through our minds. And yet it's the last place on earth the average person will turn to for help.
All I wanted to do was share the secret with the world.
You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Nothing new can come into your life unless you're grateful for what you already have.
One of the errors that almost everyone makes, they're attempting to change something outside of themselves without changing what's going on inside.
It's because they never learned to think. Now that is a fact, believe it or not.
And that, my friend, is
The strangest secret in the world.
because I got something to say. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for the show. Is This Thing On? This is a show where we interview entrepreneurs. This is about motivation. This is about uplifting. This is about trying to get people from one place to another. And today I have a very special guest for the very first episode. He is an entrepreneur. He has a strong track record in building high-volume sales organizations. Over the last 20 years, Jason has successfully orchestrated 2 mergers, raised venture capital, and has taken 2 companies from an idea on paper to over $250 million in gross annual sales. His knowledge in marketing, technology, sales cycle animations, and business management has played a role in growing great companies that has employed hundreds. Jason is a decorated combat veteran who proudly served our country as a combat engineer and a graduate of the exclusive U.S. Army Sapper Leader Course. Jason was honorably discharged after 5 years of service, having achieved the rank of sergeant. Please welcome everybody to our show, Jason Moulton, everybody.
Hey,
What's up, brother?
thanks for having me on, man.
Man, thank you for showing up, man. This is our second time doing this, man. This time around, we're gonna hit them a little bit harder than we did the first time, man. I'm blessed to have you here. I'm so grateful that you're taking time out of your day to just bless us with your knowledge. And some of the questions I'm going to be asking I think it's really going to help a lot of people because there's people in different situations, and I think you have a lot of relatability because you've been doing this for over 20 years. You know what I mean? So can you just start off by just introducing yourself a little bit and then letting people know a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm Jason Moulton. I've been building startups and companies for the better part of the last 20 years. I was in the Army, as you mentioned in my intro.
Yes, sir.
And probably my favorite job was being in the Army, to be honest with you. And if I would have, been a little bit smarter, I probably would have stayed in because as we're going to discuss today, being an entrepreneur is not always doesn't always feel like the best choice. So
Yeah, for sure.
But what's cool about it is you and I have known each other for quite some time, man. And we got together about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and you were talking about this amazing idea. And what I got to witness firsthand was the development,
Yes.
the minimum viable product, a soft launch, a hard launch, and some very noteworthy marketing credits to your success, man. And I was impressed to see that. And obviously the new book, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I've been writing a book for the better part of the last couple of years too. It's
Nice.
It's more of a memoir for my path that I've taken, but I love the stuff that I kind of took a look at what you had already put together, and thanks for the copy, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, man, I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. I started, I grew up poor, so I had to get a job. That was, first and foremost. You gotta have money. And so I started doing odd jobs as a kid. Like I think 9 years old, I got my first actual job. And I've been working ever since. So I love it. I don't think I'd ever do anything other than this, to be honest with you. I've tried a few other things, but this is my calling, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So just people, let's clear up what being an entrepreneur actually is, right? What does an entrepreneur actually mean to you? I think everybody has like a different, I guess, way that they look at it, right? People setting up little T-shirt brands or whatever, they consider themselves an entrepreneur. But what, in your mind, what would an entrepreneur be for you?
Well, God, man, it's taken on different meanings as I've grown up. When I was younger, in my late 20s, early 30s, being an entrepreneur was more about financial freedom and actually looking at my bank account and going, damn, I'm doing something. And as you get a little bit older, you start to realize that entrepreneurs are problem solvers. That's really what we are. We're problem solvers. You're advertising.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause for that one, because that's where you got to start from. But I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So look at, man, entrepreneurs solve problems. And on my LinkedIn page now, I actually swiped this from my big brother, R.I.P. Joe. But he was a problem solver, and one of the things that he put on his LinkedIn was solving problems in the enterprise. And I take great pride in that. And today, that's what I do for a living, and I make money doing it. And it's amazing. It's almost like, in your music career, when you start to make money doing something that you just inherently have, it's part of your DNA. It hits you a different way, man. So yeah, I think entrepreneurialism is about solving problems, and at some point it stops being about money and starts being about the process of solving problems.
Yeah. I think I'm there now. Because, like, okay, so when you're starting off, you don't even really think about the problem solving aspect of business in general, but the people who are successful are the people who solve problems. The billionaires solve the biggest problems, or they revolutionize something, right? So, hey, so for you people out there that's looking to start a business, make sure your business solves a problem, and another thing, it has to add value, right? So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting this business, and the business is just something that you've seen on Facebook, a turnkey business, which irritates the hell out of me, by the way, is there such thing as a turnkey business?
Yeah, there is. You just have to have money to buy it. That's all.
For sure, because I've tried every single get rich quick program under the sun, when they just say all you need to do is just follow the system, right? And I realized that no matter what I tried, especially at that time, I wasn't going to be successful, because I didn't think of it as something that was solving anybody's problems. It was just something that I tried to do for money. And if you're doing it for money, that's a good reason. But at the same time, you should be into this because you solve a problem and you can also be passionate about it. So let me ask you this. Let's talk about success, right?
Okay.
Because this is a very broad thing too. Success is, to me, my definition of success, and I'll take this from Earl Nightingale. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Earl Nightingale. He says success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, right? And it really doesn't have anything to do with money, but a lot of people equate success into money. But to me, if you're a school teacher and you're happy with what you're doing, you're making however much money, $70,000 a year, but you're happy to go to work every single day, to me, you're successful. So what does success mean to you?
All right, man. The definition of success. So I mentioned it a couple minutes ago. When I was younger, the definition was money, fine women, and nice things. That was it, man. That was all I was trying to get. I mentioned I was kind of poor growing up, and it's generational poverty. So it was just something that was part of our existence. And money meant freedom, women, and nice things. And that was my definition. Now it's changed tremendously, and I've been doing this 25, 26 years now. So when I was really young, that was self-serving. Everything was basically selfish. Now it's about building a model that will outlast me. And And, sure, you hear the word legacy and stuff like that, but what I want to do is create something so perfect and so well ran that it throws off cash for generations and generations. People that I'll never meet will get a nicer, I think, path in life, or a little bit of an easier start in life. That's the goal now.
Wow. That's beautiful, because who doesn't want to create something that lives on longer? You know what I mean? So I remember when I started on this journey, there was a couple of questions that I had to ask myself. Number one, did I deserve everything that I wanted at that time? No. And I think that was probably, it may have been a year or two after I stopped working for you there at Hometown. I had to do some soul searching. And then another thing is, okay, when you pass away, what's going to be next to your name, right? Is it going to be success? Did you influence as many people as possible? Did you make an impact in this world the way you really wanted to? Or did you do those things to make the impact that you wanted to? So those are some of the questions that I had to ask myself. And I got a little bit emotional, because at that point in my life, I thought I was doing things, but I really wasn't doing what I thought I should have been doing. I'm making way more of an impact now than I was back then. And that's the growth aspect. So let me ask you this. During this 20 years of being an entrepreneur, having success, having failures, did you ever want to quit?
God, more times than I care to admit, brother. So, and here's the sad part is I quit a bunch. And it's part of the path.
Yeah.
The reality is you will remember every single one of them.
Yeah.
And they will haunt you like nightmares. And so I've quit on relationships. I've quit on sports. I've quit in education. I try to go to college. I quit in sales. I'm a great salesperson, but I've quit in that. I've quit in business. I've quit on myself. Is it normal? I think it's normal for people to give up. I think it's normal if we're not prepared for the task at hand. You've got like two choices. You either be prepared and learn your craft and show up confident, or you're going to lack confidence, and quitting is going to be an easy choice.
Okay. So speaking of confidence, where does confidence even come from? Because this is another tough question, because confidence is something that, you can naturally have, but then going, through the years, going through bad relationships, just whatever the case, just going through life in general, your confidence can waver. And me, from experience, the way I built my confidence, and especially to be as confident as I am now, and I'm still growing in that area, I had to educate myself on exactly what it is that I wanted to do. Right? It wasn't school or anything like that. But once I found out what my purpose was, I just decided to dig in and just educate myself above, and try to be so far ahead that the person next to me won't even be able to stand a chance when it comes to certain topics. So that's what I did, and that's how I built confidence. Where did you get your confidence from?
Well, same place you did, buddy. Being prepared. That's it. Confidence is, I guess there's two pieces to it, right? When I was younger, I had ego. I didn't have a skill set that I could lean on. So I pushed through with just grit. And I had an ego that projected confidence, but it wasn't true confidence. And so I started reading books.
Yep.
That's what I started doing. The very first thing I did was I read books. I remember my very first year, and I was married back at this time. I was about 27, 28 years old, and our tax person did our taxes that year. And she called me up and she goes, "Man, you spent $1,200 on books. Is that real?" I said, "Yeah, it's real." She's like, "Did you really read $1,200 worth of books?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "I read some of those books a few times because I have a hard time reading and remembering. I'll start trailing off as I'm reading, and I'll have my own like experience in a page, and then I'll have to go back and reread it because I got lost in my own stuff."
Your
And
thoughts get loud, don't they?
yeah, they do, man. Yeah, they do. So, so I think, to circle back, confidence comes from being prepared. And, you learn that. For me, it was in the military. You have to, you got to learn all kinds of stuff when you get in the military. And one of them is military, like customs and traditions. And you go through these boards to get promoted to the next rank and so on and so forth. And to be considered for promotion, you should probably go through some of these practice boards, or what we had, when I was coming up, was called Soldier of the Month, Soldier of the Quarter, Soldier of the Year contest. And I won a bunch of these things, and I did it through studying. And I would get these little 3x5 cards, and I'd write everything out. And I used that same practice to study everything that I need to consume today. I use my little 3x5s, put them in my pocket as I'm driving, as I'm stuck in traffic. I'm going through this stuff, and I'm educating myself on the process. So true confidence comes, in my opinion, from being prepared. You need to know this stuff like your social security number. Like, it's just never going to go anywhere.
There you go, man. Hey, round of applause for that. That was a great answer. So if anybody's out there looking to be confident, or you lack confidence in a certain area of your life, just study. They say multi-millionaires, they read up to 50 books a year. And I really do believe that to be true. But on top of that, how many times during the year do they actually read that same book over and over again? I know once I started to read a book, everything started to change. Again, my thoughts started to become louder than anything that was going on in the environment, and including me reading the book still. But I got thoughts going on in my head that I couldn't even remember, like the last paragraphs. So I had to actually go back to read it again. But this is all part of building confidence in yourself, so that way you can step out to this world whenever you're ready, and you'll know exactly what the hell you're talking about. Because don't nobody want to listen to somebody who don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a bunch of them out there that will, man, and that's the problem today. Is we're listening to just about anybody who's willing to step up and talk. And so, what I really appreciate about what you've been doing these last, God, I've known you for about 12, 15 years now. So, at least the last 12 years is you are bettering yourself all the time. I don't see this plateau. I don't see this like you've arrived at a destination. You are constantly evolving, and it's in my personal belief, it is what creates innovation, and that is what solves the problems that we need to solve.
For sure. So let's talk about this. So in being an entrepreneur and taking that step and saying, you know what, I'm not going, because some people think working for someone is safe. And in some cases it is. If you like doing this or whatever, that's your own business. But when you decided, hey, I'm not going to work for anybody no more, and you took that leap when you don't have that paycheck that's just coming in, there had to be moments where there was overwhelming, bills piling up, not being able to live the life that you wanted, not right now. But what did you do to get yourself into a position to where you could kind of outlive your environment? What I mean by that is you got all the things stacked up against you, right? You're a new entrepreneur. What did you do when you were drowning? How did you get yourself back up afloat and then get yourself back on the right path?
Man, just thinking about it honestly gives me anxiety. I remember I had two new sons. I was 27 years old, had two new sons, was married, and for all intents and purposes, guys, I had achieved the American dream, what we were all taught as kids. You graduate high school, you get yourself a good job, you get married, you have kids, and you get a house. And I got all those things. And I remember going to my wife and going, hey, I have this crazy idea that I want to do, and I think it's going to make us some money, but we're married, so I need, are you going to buy into this? That was tough. That's what gives me the anxiety, just thinking about talking to my ex-wife about that, because we were in a pretty good spot, and she was, Women like security and safety, and I get it. If you are dating an entrepreneur and you need safety and security, you may want to reconsider your dating options right now.
You have to be strong.
It's
to
not
deal
for
with
the
this.
weak of heart, my friend. You have got to be very strong, like stronger than you've ever been.
Yeah.
So the jump is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Not having an idea where your next paycheck is coming from can keep you up at night. So save a little bit of money. That's, first and foremost, get your bills taken care of for 90 days. I like to do 100-day challenges. I believe that anybody can change any dynamic in their life within 100 days. Nice. So do 100 days, get 100 days worth of cash, and then take the leap. Our first business did not succeed. It failed. The very first one failed. It was an office supply company that I had dreamed up, and it was just 15 years before its time. It was called Same Day Office Supplies. I got the website, and I was like, man, if the website's available for me, I'm building this company. And it was
Yes,
there. .com and all, man. SameDayOfficeSupplies.com. And here's the reality is, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, you got to check this test, and it's the E-Myth test. So I was an amazing salesperson, and I say that with as much humility as possible, but I was taught by some pretty amazing salespeople, and I picked it up pretty quick. And on a technical level, I could fund a business because of the revenue that I brought in. Now, that does not speak to the operational piece of it. And so I didn't know anything about that. So I was a technician that just said, I'm going to plant my flag in the ground and do it. So you got to find partners.
Yeah.
You got to ask for help. I didn't do any of that and just muscled my way through it, and probably could have had a way better experience early on, but I mentioned earlier, I kind of came from the hood. I just didn't trust anybody. I didn't want anybody taking my idea.
Yeah. That's yeah. That's
I crack up, man, because I remember around this time it was like the internet just started popping, and I take a meeting with this guy who was a wholesaler, and he was setting my new startup up with a line. And from this, we could use his company's warehouses and supplies. And he tells me that he met with a guy a couple of days before that needed warehouse space because he was building this secret company. And had him sign non-disclosure agreements and everything. And come to find out, the guy was building an online bookstore. And in case you didn't know, I mean, Amazon had already been in business for a while and had already figured that piece out. So I thought it was cute that this guy, and that's where I was at in my head. Everything was a secret. Everything was, my own personal stuff. And so I didn't want to share it. And I think I had a harder time with it. That's, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially when it comes to just keeping things in your head, would you say that confidence had a role to play in any of that? When you just didn't want to share your ideas that you had going on in your head with anyone, or even thinking that somebody's going to steal it? Because just from me, as my confidence grew, I didn't care if anybody was going to steal it, because I told myself I was so far ahead of anybody that wanted to steal it that my next move is already above what they wanted to steal anyway. Do you think confidence plays a part in, that aspect when you're thinking people are going to actually steal it, or just keeping that idea in your head?
Oh yeah, man. Looking back now, I can see I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready to be an entrepreneur. And I, failed a few more times after that, had to go get a job and then save up enough money to start something else. So I lacked confidence in myself, in my idea, in my ability, in, just about every aspect of that decision. I lack confidence. The only area that I didn't lack confidence was my drive, determination, and work ethic. And so, there's a lot to be said about getting up and getting after it. And that's self-motivation comes into play big time when you are an entrepreneur, because you're the boss. No one's calling you to tell you to get up and get going. You have got to get up and get going somehow, some way. So I was confident in that aspect. Everything else was unknown. I had no skill set in it, and I was just learning all this stuff. And so consuming books was the easiest way for me to ask for help.
Yep.
And I got help from all these amazing business people and all these books that were written. And from each of them, I pulled little pieces that went into my ultimate playbook. And, now, I mean, you remember, working at Home Team, we had a playbook. We have a playbook for everything.
Yep.
I hand those playbooks out. You can take them home with you. You can copy them. You can post them on the damn internet for all I care. What I know now is even the best idea, if it's not executed correctly, it ain't going nowhere. And I can give you the key to success. I can get you all the way to the water. I just can't make you an entrepreneur, man. So that's the hard part.
Either you have it or you don't. I've seen people that bounce from and I can speak because this person was me. Bounce from here to here to here, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that are probably on my friends list. They'll see this movie and they'll just say like, yeah, man, this dude tried everything. And every time I'm coming out with something new, it's like, man, this dude tried everything. And a lot of it didn't succeed. You know what I mean? Some of it was successful and some of it just wasn't. So let me ask you this. Right now, today, being an entrepreneur for 20 years, how would you gauge your success?
Okay. I think, again, there's levels to it. I don't think I'm there yet. That's the honest answer. I don't think I'm successful yet. I believe that I'm on a successful path. Once I have a business that throws off cash on like an annuity basis, that I don't have to do anything except for talk to my people on occasion, but I'm still making the kind of money that I like to make.
Yeah.
That's what I believe will be a success for me. Now, I have very successful aspects of my life. I've done all the things that we had mentioned. I've bought a bunch of homes. I've had investment properties. I've had a lot of really good, successful things happen. But for me, it's being an entrepreneur isn't about making money anymore. And what's scary about this whole thing is, it's not like you choose to be this. It's almost like when I say that, I say it in almost like a negative way, because if my kids woke up and said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'd say, you're damn crazy. You're crazy, man. Like it's nuts to do this, but it chooses you, and it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time, because I have sacrificed, just about every damn thing that I've ever had to solve a problem. And sometimes you don't even know if that problem is truly a problem, right? So you've got to test these things and get out there and talk about it, and just be comfortable getting looked at like you're crazy, man, because people are going to look at you like you're crazy. They're going to talk behind your back like you're crazy.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And all those little things that you've done, and I don't mean little to minimize every one of your attempts, because here's what I love about the attempts. It's risk in action. You are taking a risk, and most people just don't have the stomach for it, man. They're just not going to do it. So the fact that you failed multiple times in the succession of, a decade, all that means is, you've got an optimistic outlook. You believe in yourself, and you know that there's something special inside of you that you need to share with the business world or your community. And I mean, not everybody's going to appreciate that, you know? And so having the confidence to go through it with all that, you know, all the, you know, some people call it haters, some call it, you know, critical thinkers, but, you know, the reality is not everybody's on your side when you start out.
That's right.
The good news is everybody will be on your side at some point. You just got to keep pushing.
Yeah, yeah, because they're waiting to root for you, for sure.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know that they're waiting to root for you, you know, and I can say that, you know, I've tried some pyramid schemes, you know what I mean? So some of my people, you know, that are friends of me, I didn't try to get them involved in some of that stuff, and they come to sit down in a seminar or whatever, and then the scheme begins, and they looking at me all crazy. You know what I mean? That's where it started for me. And again, it really isn't something that you choose. You really, it pulls at you. It just doesn't stop. It just nags, 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 and you just wonder why. When you're working for someone, I guess not being unhappy. That's not probably the words I want to use. But then you just know that you have something else that's pulling at you, and it won't let you go. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've failed several times. And I think being an entrepreneur or being able to call yourself an entrepreneur is failing multiple times. Nobody's going to succeed that first time. You're going to have to fail your way to success. You know what I mean? And whatever success means to you, you're going to have to fail. It's like I just did a video yesterday, and it's like being a baby, right? When you're a baby, you can't even lift your head. And then all of a sudden you get strong enough, and then you can lift your head, and then you can get on all fours, and then you can crawl, and then you can walk. You know what I mean? So there's like this process that you can really look at a baby and just realize that process, that when you start off, you're not going to be able to lift your head. You're not even going to know what the hell you're even doing this for, but you know you should be doing it because it's inside of you. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I've probably ruined some relationships because of some of this stuff. You know what I mean? So let me ask you, over this time, and I know you spoke about your ex-wife, have you ruined any more relationships? Not even ruined them, because sometimes you can just outgrow someone. Sometimes you're just not on the same frequency anymore. Sometimes you can just be somewhere else where you just don't connect with people anymore. So do you have those type of relationships in there where you just kind of maybe outgrew the relationship, or just maybe, you know, you're just on a different path?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the brutal reality of being an entrepreneur. You are constantly growing, and the people that are with you may not always be aligned with who you become. And it's sad, but it's the truth. And I struggled with this, I think, in my early and mid 30s. I had a hard time with this because I started making money. And, you know, I mentioned I came from a pretty poor family, and so it started with my family. These acknowledgments. I started to see that the people who raised me they weren't trying to level up, and it bugged me. And it bugged me because they were family. I could talk to them a little bit more freely, and I would. And so I had a lot of people with animosity towards me because of that. You know, my romantic relationships, I can tell you with all honesty that I lost every single one of them, man. Starting with my first marriage, or my only marriage. I've only been married once. But yeah, it was, you know, I was young. I was in the Army, and I met this beautiful girl, and at the time I wanted to be a Green Beret. I don't know if I ever told you about this.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I wanted to be a Green Beret. I actually got recruited by the Green Berets in Iraq. I was in Iraq when I was like 19 years old, and the reason why I signed up was because if you if you signed up with them, they'd get you out of Iraq faster.
Yeah.
So so I hopped a plane and went to North Carolina and did this training, and I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I wasn't special enough.
But that training is tough.
Very tough, very tough. I mean, like, I think I walked for like 30 hours straight
Wow.
one day there. And so yeah, it was really tough. It was grueling on the body, it was grueling on the mind. They're looking for something very, very, very unique in that program. And I didn't have it. I think it was just I had the physical attributes, I did not have the mental attributes. And the mental attribute that they're looking for is how bad do you want this?
Yeah.
Fast forward, that attribute is alive and well in my entrepreneurial ways, because you're willing to sacrifice every damn thing, and every relationship was a sacrifice. It was either, in the beginning, it was, what time are you going to be home, Gene? Then it was, where are you? And then, and then it was just, I stopped really kind of caring about the relationship, and I started caring more about my business. And it was an easy way for me to kind of hide as well. Like if I had a relationship issue, it'd be an easy way for me to kind of hide out and do my own thing. So, we're rare human beings, man. Like what we do is different than most people. I've had tons of money, tons of it, man, and great things and houses and everything that you can possibly want. And you would think that is enough, but it ain't enough.
Yeah.
And that's the curse that I mentioned, right? It is a wonderful blessing to solve problems and to deploy the solutions at scale and at mass. But it's a lonely place sometimes, because the people that are on your side aren't always on your side. You got your family. I'm sure your parents are extremely proud of you. I know my mom was, but other than that, you get some support from your siblings. But when it comes to having a relationship, you got to put a lot into it, and if you're putting all of your time and energy into your business, you can neglect who you're with. And that's what happened in my first marriage, man. I started making like 50 grand a month, and I was in my 20s, and I was like, shoot, man, this is awesome. And we can buy all this stuff and we can get set up. The downside was, I didn't make t-ball practice or basketball practice or soccer practice or the play date or you just name it, man. Everything that, she would set up, I would either be late to or just absent from. And, at some point, a woman is going to go, hey,
what about me?
This ain't what I signed up for, dude. I met you were a sergeant in the Army, and now you're this other thing. And so it goes back to to what we were talking about. People kind of just slip away. The cool thing is my ex-wife actually works for me today. So
nice.
I talk to her all the time. We're really good friends. We co-parented really, really well. We've got two solid human beings that are, grown and out of the house and graduated college and in their careers. And so, so very proud about that. We worked together, but it wasn't always easy. And, the truth is, if you dated me and you happen to be hearing this right now, I'm sorry I didn't come home. I'm sorry I worked late. And I'm sorry I didn't pay enough attention to you, because I had something else that I was working on, and it takes everything. This is what the reality is. Being an entrepreneur is a myth. It's not a job anymore. You do not get to just own a job. You have a big responsibility, and add to that, taking on investors, then it just brings a whole new light to the situation. And when when you do that, you have a duty, a financial responsibility, if you will. You may remember this term of fiduciary responsibility.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just more being an honest dude, though. You know, if you sell someone on your company, then you got to do what you sold them, and so that can take you away from relationships as well. So yeah, I hope I'm not being a downer to everybody who's in love right now and wants to be an entrepreneur, because it doesn't always happen that way, right? It doesn't happen the way, like I've seen you and your relationship, and I'm just so happy for you, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You know, for me personally, it didn't pencil out, you know, the way that I had thought it would. I think as you dream, most entrepreneurs are dreamers by nature anyway. Yep. So when I dreamed of this life, there was a pretty girl next to me and a great relationship. You know, the truth is, I'm single most of the time. I'm alone most of the time. I have a great network of people that I connect with, but relationships on a romantic level, unless you just want to be a dog, right? Like I could lie to people and be like, hey, I'm going to hang out with you all the time, and then not, and then, you know, be a total, you know, you just get a bad reputation.
For sure.
And when I was younger, that was my reputation, you know, and so I think I've redeemed myself over the years, but the cost of that is you got to be alone. So that's where I'm at.
For sure. And, you know, like, again, it does come with its own sacrifices. I can remember I used to work for my parents, and it was very comfortable there. I can always depend on that income. I can always depend on them giving me something to do as far as work. And I remember one of the hardest things I've tried to do is probably a little after our meeting when I was showing, or a little bit before our meeting when I was showing you the billboards. I had to tell my parents that I'm not coming back. You know, that was it. I just was like, you know what? This is something that I have to do. I don't care what it costs me. I don't care what I got to sacrifice. I'm not coming back. I'm sorry. You know, that was super hard. Probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And then on top of that, you step out again. It's like leaving high school and you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're just alone. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do I do from here? And the first name that popped in my head was actually you. I remember when I was driving, your name just popped up in my head, and I was like, I need to just go. I know this is a good idea. Let me go run it by somebody. So I came and ran it by you. But you know, I'm thankful that the relationships that I have, for the most part, me and my parents, we still have good relationships, and my siblings and all that, we have good relationships. And my lovely wife, she really, I'm getting those. Are you coming home tonight? What time you coming home? I'm getting that for sure. But she really is supporting me, and I hope she understands. You know, I know she gets irritated with me because, like last night, for instance, I was going all day. I was in here working. I didn't get home until, normally I don't work on the weekends. You know what I mean? But you know, sometimes duty calls. Sometimes you just got to get it done. You know what I mean? So I stayed up in here until I think like 9:30. She wasn't too happy with me about it, but she gave me a kiss this morning. And I can say, honestly, I think that she really supports me and she understands to a certain extent. So shout out to my wife, Naisha Thornton. She ain't changed her name yet, and she needs to. So shout out to her. I'm going to give her a round of applause for that. Thank you for sticking by me. But yeah, I mean, listen, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, I tell people, like, listen, this is not for the faint of heart. You have to have at some time during your entrepreneurial career, you're going to have all the odds stacked up against you. I mean, things are just going to be hitting you left and right and left, up and down, and it's going to seem like it happens at the same time. Now, when this happens, you know, this is going to let you know what you're made out of, because you're either going to succumb to your environment and all the pressure, and everybody wants money at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I know that's had to happen to you before. Everybody wants money at the exact same time. It's the craziest thing, and I can remember when it happened, all of a sudden, it was bing, 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 like just like my phone just blew up, and everybody's like, where's the money? I need money. Where's the money? Money. You owe me money. You know what I mean? I'm just like, wow, is this what it's about? You know what I mean? But then how strong are you to not succumb to all that pressure, still use your mind to move forward, and then still create what you're trying to create, and then actually build, and then, get past that point in your life, because that right there is some of the that's a recipe for failure. You know what I mean? That's a recipe to turn around and quit. And I obviously haven't quit. So what would be, I guess, on this journey of yours, what would be the most important thing that you've taken away from this journey?
All right, so let's just circle back. Shout out, Mrs. Thornton.
I'll give her a hand up.
I want you. So I've watched your relationship with your wife, man. You guys have a very special thing. It's beautiful to witness, and she does support you.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, right? If you find a partner that supports you, keep that partner close, man, because they're as rare as the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What is the most important thing I've learned on this journey? Okay, if you're young, you're going to hate this. It's patience.
Yeah.
It's patience. And I, as a young entrepreneur, I just wanted it all now. And I thought I had the ability to do it all now. And what I learned over the last 20 years, Carl, is wisdom is not something you can buy. You cannot transfer it over from somebody else like a hard drive or a USB drive or something like that. It is learned and practiced. And so what I do now is I want everything now. I'm the same way I was when I was 26 years old when I started this journey, but it does not happen overnight, and don't expect it to. So if you're an impatient person, focus on something that you can affect immediately and let the other stuff marinate, because it's going to take a while for some stuff to catch up to you. Look at Same Day Office Supplies was a great company. I just built it 15, maybe 17 years before the technology and the operational efficiency was there.
Yeah.
And so, I could have had a 17-year nightmare had I stayed with that damn idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the other thing is, you got to be capitalized. And this is, when it comes to building companies, guys, capital is the most important thing. You have threats to your organization every day, and usually capital, money, can fix that. The other threat is, what if somebody with more money passes me, takes my idea? Because they're out there, guys. They're out there. There's people out there that'll snipe your idea, and if they got enough money, they'll put you out of business.
Yep.
I don't think I've come up with anything that great where somebody's going to steal it from me and lap me, but but it's capital's the biggest thing. So be patient, and as an entrepreneur, you've always got to be raising capital. So whoever you're talking to, man, just everybody's an investor is what it boils down to, and that could also limit your friendships as well. But that's I think what I've learned the most. Be patient and try to be as well capitalized as possible.
I agree with that too, especially like I was just explaining, when you have everybody wanting the same thing, and you realize that not money. I'm not going to say money can make you happy, but money can definitely solve problems, and it definitely solves the problem of people asking for money. If you got it, you can give it to them. You know what I mean? So, that's probably one of the most important things that I've seen is probably capital, along with some of the things that are inside of you, as far as the will, the hunger, the discipline, and things like that. So let me ask you this: what did you do to turn the tide from failing to success? Like, was there any one thing that you could say when you recognize that you were starting to fail, or maybe you were already there, maybe you stayed too long. What did you do to turn that tide and go from failing to tipping the scale on the side of success?
All right, so this is a difficult part of the process. It takes massive discipline to get yourself out of a bad situation, and and what I mean by that is when the facts of your reality are brutal, you have two choices, and those choices are very, very simple. You can quit, which I've done a few times, and probably more than just a few. I've probably done it a dozen or so times. I'm embarrassed of that statement, but at the same time, I've learned there are lessons in just about everything we do, and if you can take the lesson from it, you're going to be better off. And even though I quit, you go back and you revisit these things, and you do it over and over and over, especially if it nags at you. Um, and so you take the lesson from it. But the other piece of it is perseverance, and that is walking through fog, man, for as long as it takes to get to a clearing where you can sit down and figure out what your next move is. And if it means that you have to drive an Uber for 3 months, or DoorDash, or Airbnb a couple of rooms in your house out while you figure out what the next move is, you're still persevering, you're still moving forward. You are a failure, I'm sure, in your mind. And I've been there so many damn times where I'm like, we're the worst critics of ourselves. So
Yeah, for sure.
so I think that is the easiest way to get back above the water, and even just having it right enough to breathe is really where you want to get. And
Yeah.
I've been in those situations so many times that you get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, you are truly an entrepreneur, man. So have confidence, take steps moving forward. Just be confident in your decisions. You're gonna fail. There is no, there's plenty of books to read about this stuff, but in your own story, this is new. And so
sure.
just know that you're going to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, and being uncomfortable, and sometimes, I'm apologize to my wife because sometimes, well, actually, I live uncomfortable. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And sometimes when you're with someone, that uncomfortability kind of spills into the relationship, and then it makes other people uncomfortable. Some people aren't don't some people don't like to be uncomfortable, and thank God that she's been uncomfortable before in her life, and she understands that there is a process to living uncomfortable. Let me ask you this: so, in the 20 years of being an entrepreneur, as far as your person goes, would you say you're the same person that you were when you started? And how often do you actually, I guess, change the mentality? I guess what I'm trying to say is, has this journey hardened you? You know what I mean? Like how has it affected you from, I guess, maybe the start of your entrepreneurial journey, all the failures, all the success, all the things stacked up against you? Would you say you're the same person from the start now, or how have you changed?
Yeah, no, I think 25 years in, I'm a completely different human being than I was when I started. I was very ego driven, very pride driven when I started, very self serving. So I would come to you, but there was always something in it for me. And so I would say exactly everything has changed, and it's a good thing. I look back on my life and I go, okay, there's some areas where I'd like to completely remove from my memory.
Yeah.
But I'd say I've had some luck. I have had some amazing mentors. In the beginning, I was afraid to ask for help. I was afraid to ask for help because I was afraid that somebody was going to tell me that I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And I just I didn't have the confidence for that. I didn't have the confidence to get rejected by my peers. So I didn't say anything to anybody. And I tried to solve all my problems, with what I had. And that is a recipe for disaster. So, so the books helped me in answering those questions that I was afraid to ask human beings, like people that could look me in the eye and say, dude, you're going down a bad path.
Yeah.
I was too prideful back then. I'd have got mad at you. So now, just don't be afraid to ask for help. I can tell you that everything changes. It's dynamic. It is a dynamic space that we're in, and with all this amazing technology and the ability to access information about anything anytime you want, you could really, really level up. But at the end of the day, it's, you're building something with people. And so enjoy that part of it. That's the thing that I think I didn't have in the very beginning was I didn't have these amazing relationships that I have now. And it was because I was closed off from sharing due to my lack of confidence. And now I ask for help literally wherever I go. I'll give you a quick little story. So I met with a guy, I don't know, about 9 months ago, 12 months ago, just sold his company for $100 million.
Oh, wow.
Super cool entrepreneur, local cat, young dude. And again, I was always afraid to ask for help. So I go in there, I talk to this guy, and very first thing he says was, so what can I do for you, Jay? And I go, well, I'm here asking for help. I need help, man. That's what I'm here for. I have an emergent need for capital, and I understand that you are worth $100 million now. So that is what I'm here for. And nice guy, didn't get the money. The deal didn't work out between him and I, but you just got to keep going. We ended up getting the cash from somebody else. So
nice.
So that worked out.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So in regard to what you just said, you can't do this by yourself, and I don't care who you are. There's really no way to, unless it's like a flash, get rich something, that's the only way you can do it. But if you're in this for the long haul, there's really no way to do this by yourself. And on top of that, you're going to have mentors. You're going to have to look up to people. You're going to have to ask people for help. And one thing that I know my mindset changed when it came to the way I thought about rich people, right? I'm looking at rich people, and this is from the movies and other things where it kind of conditions you to think that rich people are selfish or whatever the case may be. So let me ask you this. Along this journey here, how has your perception on rich people switched? Do you think of rich people as being selfish? Do you look at them as being giving? Like, how has your perception on rich people, filthy rich people, or just wealthy people in general, how has your perception changed?
Okay. God, what a great question. So here, first thing I'd say is let's replace the word money with the word capital.
Yep.
And going forward, use it that way. Because once you start talking about capital, now you're talking about a tool. You're talking about an instrument, where money is very vague, and there's so much attached to that word.
Yeah.
I've met tons of rich people, and some of them are nice and some of them aren't.
Just like poor people.
Just like poor people. And here's what I love about, being an entrepreneur is you're your own boss.
Yep.
So whoever you're linking up with, you have, a responsibility to align with people that make you feel good. And so, I've turned down money before because it was attached to people that I knew I wasn't going to get along with.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I knew it, man. And I think when I was younger, I'd take that money anyway, and burn a friendship or burn a relationship or worse, burn my own reputation.
Yeah.
And so now I look at it as it's everything. I hate to use the word holistic, but there is something about, when you're building these businesses, it's a family now, and you can't just be having all these foxes in the hen house, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I do a really good job of vetting my investors. I have a solid team of investors who invest capital into our business. Some of them are active people, like
Nice.
they're in the business with me with the shovels and the axes and the picks, and then some of them are just rich people that want to return,
Yep.
and they'll hit
Yep.
me up twice a year. That's it.
Yep.
So I don't look at rich people or poor people differently. I look at I think we're all kind of fumbling through the fog, and we'll have some experiences that may force us to examine our own personal humanity, like who we are showing up to the world as. And you got a front row seat to this, Carl. You got to see it, and I think you jumped in like my third or fourth business, and I hadn't leveled up yet. I was still very insecure as a business leader. I don't have a high school diploma. I do not have a college degree. I'm a dinosaur in the world of entrepreneurialism. There's very few people in today's, startup world that don't have, all the pedigree that, that investors want to see. And I lack confidence because of that. Now I show up compassionate first.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. When I'm meeting people, whether they're going to be employees or partners or vendors or affiliates, whatever. I show up as a good human being. I just want to make sure that people know that I'm here for one reason, and it's to grow together as a team. And everything is about teamwork. There is no singular, driving force for me. It is the team that is getting across the finish line every single time, no matter what. Everybody's coming with us, and that's all the way down to, in my current company, we've got people that do data, like data analyst.
Okay.
And it's kind of the lowest level job that we have. It pays an hourly wage. They're really just messing around with spreadsheets all day. And so we gave them a fancy title, data analyst. It's a spreadsheet jockey, man. And I hate that job. I hate it. And I'd rather hire that out every day of the week. So, but everybody down to our data analyst are coming. They're coming with us, and they're getting paid. Like,
Nice.
When this thing happens, and it's going to happen, this exit will happen. Everybody is going to walk away with a liquid event that is life-changing on some level for them.
Nice. So let me ask you this. I know people in the chat can see your shirt, and it says Galileo. Let's get a close look at right there. Right there. Boom. So, what is Galileo, man? Explain to everybody what Galileo is and how they can fit Galileo into what it is that they do as business owners, or how does Galileo make their life easier?
Oh man. So thank you for asking that. Here comes the commercial.
Yes, sir.
So Galileo started as a text delivery software as a service. So you go to our website, you upload some data, you put a template together, add a landing page, and then we send out your text for you in a compliant way. And we started this company, I think in 2019 was when I incorporated the company, and took a couple years to build it. We got hit with COVID. COVID was, I don't know, it definitely slowed us down. It also helped me really sharpen the product. So I didn't look at it as a bad thing, but it did reduce our ability to get out and make money. I thought I had a pretty good product before COVID hit, and it hit, and it just limited my exposure. But what we do now is we're the modern day call center for small businesses across America. And what that means is if you're a gig economy worker, if you're a gig worker, if you're a single business owner, a technician, these are your tradesmen. These are essential businesses. But what we realized is when you're the only one creating a pipeline or continuing your production efforts is difficult. And we started this with real estate agents. I'm a broker. I've been a California real estate broker for about 15 years now. I went and got my Colorado broker license a couple years ago. That's one of the things that I did during COVID was I flew out to Colorado, spent 2 weeks at a hotel studying for the broker's exam, and took the exam and came home.
Nice.
So shout out COVID for helping me get my broker's license in Colorado.
Let's give it up. Give it up for Colorado. And COVID.
Yeah. So where was I going? What were we on with that one, man? I'm sorry.
We're talking about Galileo. We're talking about
okay.
how Galileo fits in with everybody's business these days and what you're up to with it.
Yeah, go figure, man. I talk about Galileo so much that I forget about what I'm talking about while I'm talking about it. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, it's also a rookie podcast mistake. I should have wrote a little post-it here, but okay. So yeah, what we want to be is your inside sales force.
Yes.
That's it. Across America, we want to do that. We started with realtors, and about a year ago, this February, it was February 2nd, 2022, when we launched our business to the masses. And at the time, we had about 30 realtors testing our product. Today, we've got over 750 realtors using our product. And what they're starting to use us for today, Carl, is the inside call center thing. It's extremely affordable to use us because you're only using a fraction of our people for a fraction of the day.
Yeah.
And so we're not charging you an arm and a leg to do that. It's very, very affordable. And what my team does is follow a 6-step or 12-step acquisition process that's kind of baked into our technology. And we use AI to move the data around and find the right opportunities at the right time for our clients. But that's the genesis of our business now. It is to be the inside sales team on contract. We're not Groupon, so we're not taking a revenue share. We are pay for play. There's not even a monthly subscription fee. You can just call me up anytime and say, hey, I want to make a market in the Florin area. I'm opening up a pop-up and I want to do something out there, and I can aggregate data in that area, send a message, drive people to your site, and get you some exposure and get you some crowds into your boutique, your salon, whatever it is. I mean, we sell to all kinds of people. I just did a campaign for a lady up in Reno that owns a cryogenic place where they do intense cold on your skin to get rid of fat.
Oh yeah.
So what we did with this lady is we did a 20-mile radius around the address of her business. We picked all the females ages 20, I think it was like 25 to 65.
Wow.
That made over 75 grand a year.
Wow. So you can target this thing like
pinpoint.
Oh, wow.
Pinpoint.
So this is a marketing tool, you guys. So, I have the marketing and advertising company. This is a marketing tool right here. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's a full-on platform too. So you get access to our software. You can quantify down to the penny the return on every campaign. You can see how many people click through. You can see their phone number. You can call them. You can text them. You can email them.
Wow.
And Yeah, and it's like I said, it's extremely affordable. A typical campaign costs $150. If you want us to make some phone calls for you, it's 50 extra bucks. That's it.
Give it up for Galileo, making the world a better place for everybody that's trying to market their business. That's we're going to have a off camera conversation about that as well, man. That is beautiful. Hey, listen, because marketing is so important. And since I've started my marketing and advertising company, I realized like exactly how important marketing and advertising your business is. And we didn't really talk a lot about that throughout our conversation in there, but I tell my clients, once you get that product and that product is ready for market, you should be advertising and you should be marketing that product 85% of the time. That's what you should be doing. I teach them the 4 P's of marketing: the product, price, placement, and promotion. And I say, once you get to that 4th P, you live in the promotion. You just live there. That's it. That's the only thing you should be doing. And I think Galileo helps a lot of people with that. So just as far as marketing goes, level of importance for people starting a business, people that are already in business, marketing. How important is marketing? Because people don't really, they don't even set budgets, right? I've dealt with several different companies and I ask them if they have a marketing budget and they don't have a marketing budget, right? It's like, how are you going to grow your business if you don't budget for it? If you don't plan for it, you're not going to grow your business. So when it comes to marketing, how important is marketing and how often do you market?
Marketing's everything. So here's marketing in a nutshell. It's everything that happens up to and after the sale is made.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So you got to market up to it so you can get them to buy it. And then after they buy, you want them to come back, man. These are not just, hit it and quit it kind of customers. We got to keep them coming back.
There you go.
So we need some retention marketing. We need some market making marketing. We need some product marketing. We need some promotional stuff. You need some pricing. And you can do 99% of this from your desktop today for free. Yeah. And if you haven't ever read a book called Bootstrap Marketing, it's called The Bootstrapper's Bible or Playbook by Seth Godin.
I love Seth Godin.
I read that when I was 26 years old. Here's what it did. And again, I didn't ask people for help. So Seth Godin became my de facto mentor.
Yes.
In this book, he gives you not only the play-by-play, I'm talking numbered, and here's step 1, do this. Go to the IRS and get an EIN number. He shows you how to do that. Take that number to the bank and open up a bank account. It does that for you. So if you don't have a mentor that can give you this, Seth Godin, I will loan him to you. You got to give him back when the book's done. But
I love Seth Godin, man.
Amazing dude.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? And people think of mentors like they have to be, somebody that you're sitting next to, somebody that you have a phone number for. So I'm glad you said that because my mentors are Earl Nightingale, who's passed away like way back in the 1900s for all you young people out there. Bob Proctor, who recently passed away, I think last year, which I actually had to shed a tear on that one because I bought a course from Bob Proctor, spent $1,000. I spent a lot of money on just developing myself. I spent about $1,000 or $1,500. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it changed my life. It changed the way I think. It's actually the reason why I have what I have right now because of this man. And I consider him a mentor, even though I didn't know him. So I'm glad you said that because you can read books. And as you're reading books, you're listening to videos, you're listening to audibles, you start to realize that there is people out there that have information to help you get to exactly where you want to get. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. Now, in closing, how can people reach you? How could the business owners reach you and I'll actually pin this in the post as well. And then when we put it on YouTube, I'll make sure your information is down there. But for the people that's on there right now, how can they reach you, man? How can they do some business with Galileo and change their marketing tides?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tag Galileo in the post that you have here.
Yes, sir.
You can always just give me a call. My cell phone is area code 916-865-6917. Just text me or call me. I'm happy to help. You could also go to our website, galileo.com, GALILAIO.com, and there's phone numbers and how to get a hold of us there as well.
Nice. Thank you for that, man. And you know what? I want to say just thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this, number one. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people that can actually relate to this because, on this entrepreneurial journey, it gets lonely. Number one, you can have all the family in the world, but it seems like no one can actually understand you. You know what I mean? Because you have some things going on inside of you that a lot of people just don't understand or just don't know about. They won't experience, what entrepreneurs experience, and not all of it is good, but not all of it is bad as well. So we get like a little mixture of that. So I really do think that there's going to be a lot of people being helped by these videos and what you had to say. So you know what? I thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jason Moulton. Yeah, man. Any closing words? You want to give any shout outs or anything like that?
Well, my two sons, Blake and Bryce, the apples of my eye. Love those guys. I think if you boil this whole thing down, Carl, it's a special experience that you're going to be having. Being an entrepreneur is there's two sides to it, right? So entrepreneurialism is taking risk and going out on your own and creating a path where there was no path. You are you're a pathfinder, if you will. The other side of it is being having a job, just going and having a job, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's so I admire my friends that have stayed in corporate and leveled up. It's the same journey.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of innovation that can take place inside of a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
I built one of my startups 6 years ago in a multi-billion-dollar organization. They allowed me to incubate my company there. That was a kind of a unique build. What I learned from that was, there is definitely two sides to this. Mm-hmm. And I can found a billion-dollar company. I know that with everything that I have today. I can found a billion-dollar company and get it to a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friends who have been doing corporate for the last 20 years, that's where they come in.
Yeah. So
there's an ecosystem here, and there's a natural kind of flow to this whole thing. I'm not the guy. You look at people like Facebook, right? You look at Elon.
Mm-hmm.
Elon is an idea guy. Elon has some very amazing ideas, but he's not nuts and bolts into this thing. I'm sure, on some of these rockets, he gets in there and has some mathematical formulas that he invents and puts into this technology. But other people are running these companies, man.
Got to have somebody to execute, man. You
got to have some really talented people, and so find your tribe. Get out there and network. Find your people. It will surprise you where you find your tribe too. It's today I live in a coastal beach town called Half Moon Bay, and my journey has led me there because I met a business partner through cold calling. One of my team got this guy on the phone cold calling. We sold him some campaigns. He and I developed a friendship.
Nice.
Talking very much like you and I talk. When we talk, when you and me talk, we're usually talking entrepreneur stuff and building, and we're constantly reinforcing that drive. And the same thing happened with this guy. He just happens to be a super rich dude that owns a bunch of properties around the world. And now I can literally, I'm going to Portugal and I'm going to build a call center in Portugal
Nice.
this summer. So
I wish you would have sent me those pictures, man. We could have pulled those things up. So people, those pictures you showed me before were ridiculous, babe. We're going. We're going to Portugal.
yeah, Karma, you're coming to Portugal whether you like it or not.
For sure. For sure. So, again, I want to thank everybody so much for joining us on Is This Thing on the Justice Network. We're going to wrap it up. And, I want to say thank you again, Jason, for dedicating the time. And another thing too, before we even go, so the gift that I gave him was a book that I just recently launched that's on Amazon. And it is something and I just want, before we go, I just want to kind of allude to it a little bit, because again, entrepreneurial is a two-sided thing. You don't necessarily have to run a business. Oh, he has right there. Look. Yes, sir. And that's the author's copy too, a little striper on the side right there. So being rich isn't always about money. Sometimes being rich is just about rich, and you can have friendships that are rich. You can have your spirit can be rich. You can just be happy. It's whatever you want to make it. So the reason why I decided to do the book is because I want people to understand that it doesn't have to be an entrepreneurial thing. It really does take what you are and turn it into the best version of you. Now, if that's an entrepreneur, that's good. If you're a salesperson, that's good. If you're a corporate person, that's good. It doesn't really matter where you are in life. We can always have a model to go and do better. So I did want to say thank you for accepting that. Number one, thank you for showing that. And then for anybody that was out there wondering, you can get that on Amazon. But any shout outs before we go?
Well, shout out Carl Thornton for his first book. Being
Yes,
an
sir.
author is not easy, man. I've been writing a book for a couple years, so I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to get through the book, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I really appreciate it. And I do have a special message for you guys. Something that I put together that's kind of kind of sums up everything. And hey, you guys out there watching, if you guys are looking to advertise, we are taking advertisers here on the Justice Network as well, on the YouTube side. So I just want you guys to check this video out here, and then we will close it out with this video. So I want to thank everybody again. Thank you, Jason Moulton, for coming through, and I hope you guys enjoy. What's going on outside of you is nothing compared to what's going on inside of you. You have something inside of you so great and so powerful, there really is no limit to what you're capable of, and there's no limit to the things you can accomplish. But you have to be willing to take those first steps. Just like when you're a baby learning to walk, you failed your way into success with no fear of judgment, no fear of criticism, and no fear of failure itself. When you fail, what did you do? You got back up, and you fell again, and you got back up. And each time you fell, you got one step closer to the goal, which was being able to walk. And it didn't matter how you got there. You started off not being able to lift your head, but you did. You got stronger. You learned to crawl. You learned to stand and walk, and then eventually learn to ride a bike. We didn't go through all this as children to become adults and stop using the special gifts that God gave us at birth. Come on, think about it. There were a whole lot of other competitors trying to get here at the same time as you, and you won. You're a winner. You're 1 in 400 trillion. You have a better chance of winning the lottery 5 times than you are being born on this earth. Yes, you are special. You need to wake up the giant within and go get it. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you don't have any money. It doesn't matter if you've been beaten down. It doesn't matter if you're depressed. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. The only thing that matters is what you're doing now and what you're going to be doing from this point forward. You can have the health. You can have the love. You can have the wealth. You can have the cars. You can be happy. You can be successful. And you can be free. You can have anything in this world. And no one is going to give it to us. We have to take it. And it starts by taking the first step, which is making the decision to change it all. So you now have to ask yourself the question, have you had enough yet?
get you out of my head. I can't do this again. My heart's running through it again. No, no. I'm remembering every little thing she brought it back to the front of my mind. Girl, I said this was the last time. So I gotta stay away from you. I think I gotta keep you away from me. Anything I can to avoid feelings. Even if you're fine, my love don't come easy. Everything feels the same to me. Being with you is unlikely. Even if you're fine, my love don't come easy.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on episode 2.
Yeah. Kinda forgot how to fall in love. Late night convos, you would call me up. Nowadays, I probably wouldn't answer the phone. I don't do too well with the follow-ups. I'm a straight shootout.
And that's it. And that is it.
Dude, that was